My career in filmmaking began in 1962 when I decided to organize a film festival at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, where I was a student. I'd already graduated with a bachelor's degree in psychology from Wabash College in Indiana and decided on a career in the arts over the less appealing academic maze running. It didn't take me long to decide that the static visual arts of painting and sculpture were not to my liking. What I was most drawn to at the time were the foreign films coming out of Japan, India, and the new wave in Europe. Auguste Renoir, Claude Monet, and Georges Degas were rapidly being replaced by my new heroes, Alain Resnais, Federico Fellini, and Ingmar Bergman. I've never regretted for a moment the time that I spent at the School of the Art Institute. My education there gave me not only a unique aesthetic perspective, but a unique historical approach to the relationship all the arts have one to another. I've spent much of my career working in creative collaboration with other artists. Like many of my contemporaries, I wasn't satisfied just to be a part-time filmmaker or like work in some academic situation. So what I decided to do was become a full-time commercial filmmaker. There were problems and compromises connected with that, but I saw that as the best way to have access to the tools that I wanted to have. So these are a few samples of some of my work, something from this from the CTA, Home Box Office, Maersk Shipping, Wilson Sports, and MU Athletics.
One-night stand on HBO, and people sometimes think it's always this kind of glamour, cameras, lights, television. Believe me, it's not. Not all that long ago, I played a comedy show at a hospital. Can you imagine? A hospital in New York City. And it probably sounds nice and charitable, but it is not necessarily an appropriate venue for comedy. I mean, they were nice people, but they were ill, and some of them with tubes extruding in and out of them, and it's hard for a person to laugh when a good laugh might dislodge him from his life support system. And as comedians, we have to deal with everything, and heckling, I can deal with. It's hemorrhaging that throws my timing off. I mean, I asked one guy in the audience, I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "Intensive care." I couldn't believe they expected me to amuse this man. I'm a comedian, not a magician. And at the end of what was a rather challenging show, I said, "I hope you people get better." And one guy said, "We hope you get better." Whew.
Probably should say that I photographed all of this stuff. All this is my cinematography, and a few things I did lighting and some production on, some directing. But with aerial photography, you're only as good as the pilot. This is the best pilot I ever worked with. He was amazing. For helicopter, yeah. It was pretty scary because he was doing stuff right down on the tracks, dodging telephone wires. And they're like these shots, he's like 20 feet off the top of the cab, you know. Not room for a lot of error in that. Yeah. I wish I had a better print of this. This is off a VHS copy that I got. I never got a good copy of that one. One of my favorite areas of interest was time-lapse photography. Something was pretty easy with 16-millimeter cameras because you use animation effects, but I've also been doing a fair amount of it with video also. These are some samples of some of the stuff I've been doing on time-lapse work. I'm interested in the idea, as promised in my poster. We're talking a little bit about time travel. Film and video and media has totally transformed our sense of time. It didn't take Einstein and the quantum mechanics to tell us about the relative nature of time. Modern literature, art, and the cinema have had a greater impact on the popular notion of relativity than the impenetrable theories of physics have. No one can deny that film techniques have demonstrated the ability to move time and distort it at will. As we see, the camera can speed up the events of hours and days into a few elapsed seconds. Similarly, photography can stop time, preserving an iconic image for eternity. Even more profound than these obvious technical influences is the idea of psychological time and the illusion of time, as the Buddhists might say. When I first saw a landmark film called Hiroshima Mon Amour, which is actually the film that started the whole French New Wave, I perceived a whole different approach to the idea of time as a narrative technique. This has been existing in the novel for some time, but filmmakers have come to it also. This idea of time is not the idea of a flashback, but the idea of the past and in some ways the future as coexisting in the present tense. Like modern literature, the cinema is played with temporal storytelling in a narrative sense. Non-conventional storytelling approaches to time are amply demonstrated in films as diverse as Vertigo, 12 Monkeys, La Jetée, Amores Perros, Memento, and even Groundhog Day and Somewhere in Time. It's my conviction that the cinema, with all its newfound technical innovations and with a heightened sense of the new realities being generated by neuroscience and physics, will continue to amaze, amuse, and transform us.